In the heart of the lavish city of New Haven, where the glittering skyscrapers pierced the sky and opulence flowed like an endless stream of golden wealth, the majestic Cathedral of St. Rose stood as a beacon of grandeur. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. On this sun-drenched spring afternoon, the air was electric with anticipation, heralded by the melodious chimes of bells that announced the year's most eagerly awaited nuptials, the union of Alexander Morgan, the scion of the illustrious Morgan Hotel Empire, and Victoria, the cherished foster daughter of the influential oil magnate, Robert Foster. The cathedral was a vision of enchantment, draped in thousands of pristine white roses and shimmering silk ribbons, transforming the space into a dreamlike fantasy. The arrival of the guests was a spectacle of its own, as they descended from their opulent vehicles, luxury cars, and sleek limousines, each personage more resplendent than the next. The crowd was a who's who of the city's elite powerful families, eminent politicians, and celebrated luminaries, all resplendent in their finest attire, basking in the glow of their societal stature. In stark contrast to this scene of extravagance, a solitary figure moved with quiet grace through the church's aisles, Sister Mary Grace, a young nun of only 28. Assigned the humble task of overseeing the final touches for the ceremony, her simple gray habit stood out sharply against the sea of high-fashion ensembles surrounding her. As she meticulously arranged the prayer books on each pew, a wave of bittersweet nostalgia washed over her. Just a few short years ago, she had been immersed in a world of luxury and privilege, sharing in the extravagance that surrounded her. Yet, a profound and unexpected turn of destiny had guided her toward a path of spiritual fulfillment and service to others, where she found her true purpose. When Sister Mary Grace, in her quiet humility, spoke just 3 simple words, the room fell into stunned silence. Her words, though unadorned, resonated with a depth that cut through the veneer of opulence and left everyone reeling. A sudden wave of excitement rippled through the opulent cathedral as Alexander Morgan made his grand entrance, the epitome of sophistication in his bespoke tuxedo. His commanding presence and radiant smile captivated the assembled crowd, drawing every eye to him. Behind him, his mother, Sophia Morgan, exuded an air of cold, refined authority. Her piercing gaze scanned the scene with an unspoken critique, revealing her meticulous standards. Sophia's gaze landed on Sister Mary Grace, who was diligently arranging delicate flower vases near the altar. With an imperious tone and without bothering to make direct eye contact, Sophia's voice cut through the air like a blade. You, nun, ensure that everything is flawless. Not a single flower should be out of place. Do you understand? Sister Mary, her demeanor marked by quiet dignity, nodded in response. Of course, Mrs. Morgan. I will do everything in my power to ensure the ceremony is as beautiful as possible. Sophia's eyes flicked over her with thinly veiled disdain, as though the nun's very presence was an unwelcome disruption to the day's splendor. I trust you will. And for the sake of everyone's comfort, please keep your distance from the guests. We wouldn't want your appearance to cause any discomfort among them. Sophia's scathing words struck Sister Mary like a harsh blow, but she steeled herself, her expression a mask of serene resolve as she continued with her duties. Unbeknownst to her, this was merely the first in a series of indignities she would endure throughout the day. As the church gradually filled with the glittering assembly of high society, an air of tension settled over the gathering. Victoria, the bride, had yet to make her appearance, and murmurs of unease began circulating among the guests. Alexander's impatience was evident as he glanced at his watch repeatedly, while Sophia struggled to maintain an outward semblance of composure. After what seemed like an eternity of waiting, the thunderous roar of a sleek sports car signaled the arrival of the bride. Victoria Foster emerged with a dramatic flair, her wedding gown seemingly woven from the very fabric of a fairy tale. She was undeniably radiant, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of apprehension and uncertainty. The ceremony proceeded with all the grandeur befitting such a high-profile event, with the bishop, a personal friend of the Morgan family, conducting the proceedings with gravitas and solemnity. Just as the bishop was about to pronounce Alexander and Victoria as husband and wife, an unexpected, trembling voice pierced the charged atmosphere. "Wait, I can't do it." The entire congregation turned in astonished unison to witness Victoria, her face streaked with tears, stepping away from the altar with a look of profound anguish. "I'm sorry, Alexander, but I can't marry you." "I don't love you." The declaration sent a shockwave through the assembled guests, freezing the moment in a tableau of disbelief and confusion. A deep, sepulchral silence descended upon the cathedral, as if the very air itself had been sucked out of the room. The hushed stillness was palpable, broken only by the tense rustling of fabric and the occasional gasp from the guests. Alexander Morgan, his face a mask of seething fury, gripped Victoria's arm with a force that spoke volumes of his rage and confusion. His voice, strained and harsh, cut through the oppressive quiet. "What are you saying? You can't do this to me. This is an affront to everything we've planned." His eyes blazed with indignation, his disbelief barely contained. Amid this escalating drama, Sister Mary Grace, who had been observing the unfolding scene with growing concern, knew she had to intervene. With measured steps, she approached the altar, her heart pounding with the weight of her decision. Her voice, though soft, carried an unwavering firmness. "Please, Mr. Morgan, release Miss Foster. She has every right to express her feelings, no matter how painful they may be." Sophia Morgan, who had been momentarily paralyzed by the shock of the revelation, now snapped out of her daze. Her gaze, filled with fiery disdain, locked onto Sister Mary. Her voice, sharp and dripping with contempt, sliced through the charged atmosphere. "How dare you interfere in matters that do not concern you? This is none of your business, you meddlesome nun." The anger in her voice was unmistakable, her frustration directed not only at the nun but also at the disruption of her meticulously planned event. As the confrontation unfolded, the tension among the guests reached a fever pitch. Whispers and murmurs rippled through the crowd like a wave of discontent. Some guests leaned towards Victoria, their faces softening with empathy and concern, while others displayed clear outrage at the scandal unfolding before them. The air was thick with a mixture of shock, sympathy, and indignation. Amid the turmoil, Robert Foster, Victoria's father, made his way to the altar with a purposeful stride. His authoritative voice cut through the clamor, commanding attention and respect. "Alexander, let go of my daughter this instant." His tone was resolute and protective, a father's fierce love for his child evident in every word. Alexander, though still visibly enraged, was forced to confront the reality of the situation. The pressure of the moment and the disapproval of those around him prompted him to release Victoria. She stumbled into her father's arms, her sobs racking her frame as she clung to him for support. The scene was heart-wrenching, a tableau of raw emotion and shattered expectations. Desperate to regain control and salvage what remained of the evening's dignity, Sophia Morgan turned to the assembled guests. Her forced smile was a thin veneer over the turmoil she felt inside. "Dear friends," she began, her voice striving for calm despite the chaos, "it seems we've encountered a minor misunderstanding that has disrupted our plans. We deeply apologize for this unforeseen complication. We ask that you proceed to the reception area, where we will make every effort to address this situation and continue with our celebration." Her words were a desperate attempt to restore order and preserve the facade of a perfect event, even as the night's carefully constructed illusion crumbled around her. As the guests filtered out of the church, their conversations a blend of murmurs and speculative whispers, Sister Mary Grace sought to approach Victoria, hoping to offer some solace amidst the turmoil. However, before she could reach her, Sophia Morgan, seething with rage, intercepted her path. The icy venom in Sophia's voice was unmistakable as she spat out her accusation. "You." she hissed, her eyes narrowing with contempt, "are responsible for this debacle. Your interference has ruined my son's wedding. I swear, I'll make certain that you are never allowed to set foot in this church again." The sting of Sophia's words cut deeply into Sister Mary, but she clung to her resolve, her demeanor steady despite the unjustness of the attack. Her voice, calm yet resolute, held firm against the onslaught. "Mrs. Morgan, my sole intention was to assist. As a servant of God, I must protect and support those in distress, regardless of the circumstances." Sophia's response was a derisive laugh, one that dripped with scorn and disbelief. "Servant of God? Spare me your sanctimonious pretenses. You're nothing more than an insignificant figure cloaked in a habit. What do you understand about the realities of the world, about the responsibilities that come with being part of high society?" Her words were a biting insult, aimed not just at Sister Mary but at the very essence of her being. At that moment, something within Sister Mary seemed to fracture. The years of quiet suffering, the sacrifices she had made, and the constant burden of living a life defined by others' perceptions, all seemed to converge in a wave of emotion. Her voice, though still trembling, was imbued with a newfound strength as she declared three words that would forever alter the trajectory of the evening. Grace Emily Williams. The name echoed with the weight of her past, a past that had been shrouded in silence and secrecy. It was not merely an identity but a revelation of her true self, one that had been hidden behind the veil of her religious vocation. The utterance of her birth name resonated with profound significance, bridging the gap between her former life and the one she had embraced in service. The revelation, though simple in its delivery, carried with it a powerful undercurrent of truth and personal history, poised to reshape the narrative of the evening and perhaps challenge the assumptions and judgments that had been so readily cast upon her. Upon hearing Sister Mary's revelation, Sophia's face contorted with disbelief and confusion. "What? What did you just say?" she demanded, her voice betraying a mix of incredulity and irritation. Grace Emily Williams' Sister Mary repeated, her tone now resolute and unwavering. "That's my full name. I am the daughter of Edward Williams." The name landed in the church like a thunderclap, sending shockwaves through the gathered crowd. Edward Williams, known across the country as the influential and modest king of business, was a figure whose wealth and power rivaled that of the Morgans and Fosters combined. His enigmatic daughter, who had vanished from the public eye years ago, had long been the subject of intense speculation and intrigue. The revelation hung heavy in the air, creating a palpable stir among the guests. Sophia, initially stunned, quickly shifted to a stance of guarded suspicion. Her eyes narrowed as she scrutinized Sister Mary. "You're lying," she asserted with a scornful edge. "It's inconceivable that the daughter of Edward Williams would end up as a mere nun. It simply doesn't add up." "I'm not lying, Mrs. Morgan," Sister Mary replied with serene dignity, her voice steady and calm amidst the growing tension. 5 years ago, I made a conscious decision to devote my life to God and to serving others. My father respected my choice, though the world outside remains unaware of this truth. As the gravity of the situation began to sink in, Alexander, who had been observing the exchange with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism, stepped forward. His expression was a blend of intrigue and doubt. "If you are truly who you claim to be," he asked, his voice laced with a hint of challenge, "why choose now to reveal your identity? What do you hope to achieve with this disclosure?" Sister Mary met his gaze directly, her eyes reflecting a profound clarity. "I am not seeking to gain anything," she said firmly. "My purpose in revealing my identity is to convey that appearances can be profoundly misleading. A person's true worth is not defined by their wealth or social standing, but by their character and actions. I wanted you to understand that the essence of a person is not always visible on the surface." The weight of her words seemed to reverberate through the room, challenging the preconceived notions of everyone present. The revelation of her true identity not only shifted the dynamics of the confrontation, but also laid bare a deeper truth about human value and perception. The atmosphere, charged with a new layer of complexity, reflected the profound impact of Sister Mary's courage and the shifting tides of understanding among the witnesses. Despite the seismic shift caused by Sister Mary's revelation, Sophia remained steadfast in her refusal to accept the truth. Her disdain transformed into outright hostility as she declared, "This is absurd. I refuse to let an impostor tarnish our family's reputation. Guards, escort this woman out of the church and ensure she does not trouble us again." Her voice, laced with venom, brooked no argument. Two burly men, their expressions grim and determined, advanced towards Sister Mary, their intent clear. Just as they were about to take action, a commanding voice rang out from the entrance of the church. "Stop immediately." The congregation turned in unison to see a tall, distinguished figure making his way down the central aisle with deliberate strides. It was Edward Williams himself, his imposing presence and dignified demeanor commanding immediate respect and attention. The atmosphere in the church shifted palpably as he moved closer. Sister Mary whispered, her voice a blend of astonishment and relief. As Edward reached his daughter, he enveloped her in a warm, reassuring embrace, his paternal affection evident. After a brief, tender moment, he turned his gaze towards the Morgans, his expression a mixture of stern resolve and quiet disappointment. "Sophia," Alexander Edward began, his voice carrying a weight of authority and hurt, "I am profoundly disappointed by the way you have treated my daughter. Grace has always been, and will always be, my greatest pride, irrespective of the path she has chosen in life." Sophia, caught off guard by the formidable presence and the gravity of Edward's words, scrambled to mitigate the situation. "Edward, dear friend." She stammered, her tone shifting to one of strained politeness. "There has been a terrible misunderstanding. We had no idea this delightful young woman was your daughter. Please, allow us to offer our sincerest apologies." But Edward raised a hand, cutting her off with a gesture that silenced the room. "Apologies are insufficient, Sophia," he declared, his voice unwavering. "I have observed how you have treated my daughter, not just today, but throughout the time she has devoted herself to this church. Your behavior has been wholly unacceptable." The stern rebuke hung in the air, underscoring the gravity of the situation. Edward's intervention not only validated Sister Mary's claims, but also highlighted the depth of the Morgans' misjudgment and disrespect. The church, once a stage for opulence and pretense, now became the arena for a profound confrontation about dignity, integrity, and the true measure of worth. Alexander, recognizing that the situation was spiraling beyond their control, attempted to salvage some semblance of resolution. "Mr. Williams," he began, his voice tinged with desperation, "this is simply a misunderstanding. Our families have conducted business together for years. Surely we can find a way to resolve this matter amicably." Edward's gaze was icy as he regarded Alexander. "Business and personal relationships are worlds apart, young Morgan. Your actions have demonstrated that you are unworthy of either." His words were a clear dismissal, underscoring the gravity of the breach of trust. Turning to his daughter with genuine concern, Edward's tone softened. "Grace, are you all right? Would you like to pursue legal action against them for their treatment?" Sister Mary, her resolve unshaken, shook her head gently. "No, Father. As I've always said, I've chosen a path of forgiveness and understanding. I believe it is time for me to leave this parish. There are many other places where I can continue to serve God and those in need." Edward's expression softened with pride as he looked at his daughter. "As always, your heart is larger than anyone else's. Come, let's go to the convent and collect your belongings." His voice was filled with admiration and respect for his daughter's unwavering principles. As Sister Mary and Edward prepared to depart, Victoria Foster, who had remained a silent witness to the dramatic events, stepped forward. Her face was a mask of genuine regret and empathy. "Sister Mary," she said with a tremor of emotion in her voice, "I am deeply sorry for what has transpired today. Your courage and integrity have demonstrated a profound sense of bravery. If there is anything I can do to make amends, please do not hesitate to let me know." Sister Mary's eyes, touched by Victoria's sincerity, softened. "Thank you, Victoria. Your words mean a lot to me. I appreciate your kindness, and I hope that, in time, we can all find a path to understanding and reconciliation." As the two women exchanged a look of mutual respect, the church, once a stage for drama and conflict, began to reclaim its peaceful silence. The departure of Sister Mary and her father marked not just the end of a tumultuous day, but also the beginning of a new chapter, defined by the enduring values of forgiveness, integrity, and compassion. Sister Mary's smile was gentle, yet it radiated a profound sense of grace. "Thank you, Victoria. Sometimes it is the most challenging moments that teach us our deepest lessons. I sincerely hope you find true happiness and fulfillment in your life." Her words were a beacon of warmth amidst the lingering tension. As they exited the cathedral, the guests and remaining high society members watched in a stunned, almost reverent silence. The wedding, which was meant to be the grandest spectacle of the year, had unraveled into a scene of scandal and public disgrace. Yet, beneath the surface of this tumultuous event lay a narrative of profound inner strength and unwavering dignity. With Edward by her side, Sister Mary stepped out into the world beyond the cathedral's imposing doors. The grand occasion had transformed into a profound testament to her resilience and commitment. The path before her was not one of ease, but with her faith and steadfast values as her guiding light, she faced the future with a heart full of courage. She was poised to embark on a new chapter, one that promised challenges and opportunities for growth. Despite the day's upheaval, Sister Mary's journey was far from over. With her father's support and the lessons learned from the day's events, she was prepared to confront whatever lay ahead, driven by a deep-seated sense of purpose and an enduring belief in the power of inner strength and moral integrity. What a powerful journey we've witnessed today, a grand wedding transformed into a profound lesson of courage, dignity, and the true meaning of worth. From the dramatic revelations to the moments of heartfelt introspection, this story has given us a lot to think about. So, what have you learned from this compelling narrative? How has it impacted your perspective on personal integrity and resilience? We invite you to share your thoughts with us. Comment below with one key takeaway from this story and how you plan to apply it in your own life. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiring content. Your support helps us continue to bring you stories that make a difference. Thank you for watching.